Wait a second. Are the Astros bad? Are the Mets good? What the hell is going on around here?
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. If you don't believe me, I'm going to prove it. There's my lower third. You can call me Sully. I have been a baseball podcaster for well over a decade now, and right now I am in my sixth season here. Six! At the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is indeed your team every single day. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. This show is brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. Take that, Canada. And, by the way, this week I am still the interim host of Locked On A's. So I'm not just doing this show. I'm doing Locked On A's. It's not a repeat of this show. It is a brand spanking new show. And so that we talk about as someone called them, the Philadelphia A's of Sacramento, because why not? But hey, I'll tell you something, why not? I was on the verge of doing a podcast where we're going to be talking about the Houston Astros, and I clicked over to my buddy Brett at Locked On Astros to just get some notes of what I'm going to say, and then I thought, wait a minute, why don't I just have him on the show? It's Brett Chancey of Locked On Astros, your H-Town Wheelhouse. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. I don't I've learned not to let a sports team keep me down, but of course I haven't really had to experience much down in these last 7 years. You know, I mean, you said, I think you said this is your sixth year. This is starting my fifth season with Locked On Astros. I think Eric is in his sixth season. So yeah, man, we've been around the block a time or two, and we have seen really one of the more sustainable runs that we've seen in recent history. And it just seems like 2024, this team has hit a wall, almost like a marathon runner that didn't properly train for the marathon.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, it's still April. We have seen many teams, lest we forget the Houston Astros of 2004 had the Houston Chronicle made a gravestone of here lies the 2004 Houston Astros, and that team got to Game 7 of at the time the National League Championship Series, which is actually I think one of the most underappreciated NLCSs of all time because it was overshadowed by the Red Sox Yankee drama. But the drama in that series was, it's the only series I believe in the history of baseball that had back-to-back games end with walk-off homers. One by Jeff Kent and the other by Jim Edmonds. But that's not. I don't mean to kick you when you're down there, but that was
it's okay. I mean, we came back. I think we had the last victory in Old Busch Stadium.
That is true. Yeah.
So that was cool. But get this. Since 1901, Sully. See, since you're the baseball encyclopedia.
1901?
No, since 1901, 118 teams have lost 14 of their first 20 games. Only 2 of them made the playoffs. What 2 teams were they, Sully? Do you know?
Ooh, you're throwing a trivia question at me. I bet the Marlins are one of them.
No.
Okay. Then I'm going to say the 04 Astros.
Nope. I'm going to
tell
tell
you.
you.
Well, then clearly it was the 1944 Browns. I don't know. I'm throwing darts at the wall at this point.
And 1981 Kansas City Royals.
All right, but you got to put a big asterisk next to that one because that was the split season. And so they started from zero at the beginning. So I'm sorry, I'm going to hang a huge asterisk on that one.
And then the 2002 Anaheim Angels.
Oh, there you go. Well,
so we have hope. Slowly, what I'm saying is there's still hope. It's been done before.
It has been done before. By the way, since we brought up trivia question, I got to put a button on the last trivia question we did, which was, I don't know if you're familiar with Fritz Peterson, the former New York Yankee pitcher from the 1970s who died recently, who was involved in several trades. The most famous trade is when he and his teammate Mike Kekich, during spring training, traded wives and children. Said, I'll take your wife and your children, you take my wife and my kids, and they went on their separate ways.
Really?
That's a true story. Wow. But the question was, what other trade involving Fritz Peterson and the Yankees led directly to a Yankee pennant? And we got a couple of people who got that one right. Which one am I going to pick right now? Court Stell got it right. It was Chris Chambliss who hit the home run in 1976. And by the way, I got to throw a quick shout out to Scott Horstmeyer, who got in trouble because he was listening to my podcast and I claimed the MLS championship won by the New York MLS team I didn't count as a major championship. His wife said she was no longer allowed to listen to the show. Scott, I was going to talk about it before I had Brett come on the show. Hang tight. We'll talk about what I'll defend myself and hopefully get an olive branch to your wife a little bit later. But okay, that's a trivia question right there. And oh, by the way, Jeff Cohn, who's an everyday Sully, says, nice Senator's shirt. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm wearing my Senator's shirt here. I want to it is early.
It is.
But I will say something. The Astros, even, and I'm not going to, I will bring it to a little bit. Even with the controversy of what happened in the second half of the 2010s, that's all I'll call it.
Okay.
The run has gone into this decade, well into this decade, where nobody could raise a hand over what's been going on. Okay? They've been playing under tremendous scrutiny and microscope and have played great baseball. It's been a terrific sustained run, and they didn't win all those games because of stuff happening in the time. They were a very good team anyway. So the biggest haters out there, you can't hate them that much, okay? See, olive branch to you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm thrilled that when they won again, it was with Dusty Baker because Dusty Baker's one of my favorite people. It's been a heck of a run, and with the exception of the Atlanta Braves in the 90s into the 2000s, and the Yankees stretch, and to a degree the Dodgers stretch, you don't see runs go that deep, and sometimes it ends like a record scratch. Remember if the Philadelphia Phillies in the late 2000s, early 2010s, they looked like they were going to win the pennant in perpetuity.
Right.
And they had that amazing team in 2011, and the squirrel ran across, Ryan Howard collapsed in the heat, but it's like, okay, they're going to get him next year. To the point where the Nationals said, well, we don't have a shot, so we're just going to put an innings limit on Steven Strasburg because it's not like we're going to win a division or anything like that. And then suddenly the Phillies, who looked like they were going to 100 games every year, became a 500 team.
Yeah.
And you saw the Bobby Cox Braves, it just suddenly ended. And, there's points when you look at a team's great run, yes, it could be a bad start. Or it could be it. When do you think you're going to have to start making that shift from saying, we came out of the gate a little slow like the 05 Yankees did? Or is this what happened with the 2012 Phillies, where it was kind of like watching one of the Star Wars sequels? You're going like, any minute now, this is going to get great. Any minute now. And it just never, ever.
Right. You're like, you can only say it's too early in the season so many times before it becomes okay. But the Astros have already used 22 pitchers this year. They still have a full slot of guys that would be, if they were healthy, could be in just about any starting rotation. So you've had that. Mm-hmm. You've had Jose Abreu, who has become an absolute zero and shell of his former self. I mean, he's not even batting his jersey number right now. That's bad. His jersey number 79. He's batting
Jesus.
067. Yeah, it's bad. I like the only way that I would be willing to say this year that the run was over is if they were eliminated from the playoffs at some point and you saw them maybe trading assets or trading people to get back prospects, because they clearly let 200 plus innings walk in relief pitching for bargain prices. Stanek already has 2 saves in Seattle. Hector Neris, he should have stayed. Matan hasn't been great, but you saw it looked like he was getting revenge on the Rangers when he was with the Rays. That was actually kind of interesting. But you also, you do have a new catcher now. And Sully, I'll tell you this, and a lot of people didn't want to hear this. Maldonado was the leader in the clubhouse. Mm-hmm. I've talked to many people in the media. I've talked to players. They looked up to him. You have lost now leaders in the clubhouse: Maldonado, Springer, Correa. You lost, freaking Garrett Cole. I mean, you lost guys like Charlie Morton. You've lost key components. And we were always asking, how do you keep losing players like this and keep winning? Well, right now, I think they're just as dumbfounded as we are as fans, because because this lineup, when you look at it in preseason and then you look at the back end in preseason, you're like Hader, Abreu, Presley. Oh my gosh. And it just, if they get eliminated this year, you might be able to say the run is over. Of course, they're always going to try to retool and all that stuff, but you're just wondering about some of the decisions they've made, because they have this depleted minor league system. The problem is when it ends, Sully, is how dark are the days going to get in Houston, because it's not like we have a World Series team coming up in the minors.
And we're going to talk about a little bit of that and maybe throw a little bit of positivity and also bring up another team that is surprisingly good. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right. I need to make one thing very clear. Whether you're a fan or a player, you've been there. It's halftime. The scoreboard is against you. It's not looking good. You're feeling low. You're not sure if you or your team can pull out this win. That's when you dig deep. You lift your head up and you say to yourself, time to get back in the game. Pull off some bank heists and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone. Anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress with your buddies. And there's so much you do. You can play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards. Make your friends bankrupt, which is always fun, by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, and charge other players rent on your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends, heaven forbid, to crack open community chests and in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb up that old leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go, now free at the App Store or on Google Play. That's Monopoly Go. Are you still watching ESPN and Fox Sports on your TV all day? You have to turn down the volume with all that shouting. Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or on the free Amazon Fire TV channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Just so you know, our comment boards is blowing up with fights between Astro fans and Astro haters. I'm not gonna indulge you, but thank you, Monique Loves TR. Thank you, Janice Richard. Thank you, Anthony Keene. You know, when you've been as good as the Astros and with some of the controversy, you're gonna have to expect that some people are gonna like it when you fall on your face. You know,
Sully, I'll tell you this. It comes with the territory. I was at ALCS Game 5 last year when Altuve crushed the Rangers' hearts, and I was hoping that would do them in, and it obviously didn't. The Rangers got the better of us. They drummed us at home. It was embarrassing, but you know what? They went on. You got to tip your hat to them. They're the reigning World Series champs. But walking out of that stadium, man, let me tell you, the tensions are high between Houston and Dallas teams, no matter what the sport. So
good. Good. That's fun. That's why, you know, I was at Game 6 of the 2004 ALCS at Yankee Stadium. There was mild tension at that game. Look, I mean, people. You made a great point on your show that people are talking about, like, well, they wouldn't do this under Dusty. They'd be winning under Dusty, as if Dusty is Gandalf. You know, I mean, Dusty's a wonderful manager, and teams tend to win under Dusty. But you know, would Jose Abreu be batting 0.68 going into this game if it wasn't for him? Would Dusty have used his magic healing powers and made Hunter Brown and JP France and Framber Valdez perfectly healthy and great? But I will say this. If you told me at the beginning of the year they were going to get a no-hitter out of Ronel Blanco and almost another one, and some good performances out of Christian Javier, and a good performance out of Justin Verlander in his first game back, I would say, all right, you know, so they lost the first series to the Yankees, and things look better now. But it's the way that they're losing, the way that they just look flat. I mean, yes, there are injuries, but you know what? The Yankees lost freaking Garrett Cole. You know, their teams, every team has some injuries right now. The Red Sox lost, you know, they didn't have Rafael Devers for a chunk. You know, every team has to have some injuries, and they're having players like Blanco pick up the slack. But, you know, I mean, Bregman, isn't this a contract year for him? Did he realize that these games count?
I mean, he's hitting 220 right now. You know, Sully, we lead in a lot of the offensive categories across the board, but we're terrible with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
We can get guys on base. We've literally lost a game where we scored 3 runs but had 13 hits. And the bottom line is, let's see, Kyle Tucker's expected batting average is 343, but he's not hitting 343. He's hitting 260. What that expected number means, the way he's hitting the ball, the trajectory of the ball, the exit velocity of the ball, all the numbers point to getting hits.
Yeah.
And he's hitting into unlucky situations. We were told whenever the shift ends, Kyle Tucker's going to hit 400. Well, it hasn't happened. And yes, Jeff does mention that batting averages are low across the board. The Astros batting average is like number 2 in the league. I mean, batting average doesn't mean anything for me. If you can't bring a guy home, I don't care if you're hitting 400. You hit 400 and score 1 run, it doesn't mean crap.
Well, hey, watch the language. We're trying to. It was a family show. But hey, here, let me before I make Jeff Cohen happy, I start praising the Mets. I do want to bring up one potential thing that may make Astros fans a little happier, and that is the Astros have had some bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
They are 0-6 in 1-run games. They've played 3 extra inning games and lost all 3 of them. So there's a bunch of games that they've already played that a bounce here or a bounce there would have been a win. There have already been a bunch of games where just luck didn't show up for them. And I don't think that some of these players who are playing so horrifically are going to stay at that bad level. I mean, I just think it's just mathematically impossible. And if they had a stretch like this, the Diamondbacks had a stretch like this in August last year, but it's magnified because it's the beginning of the year. So,
no, I mean, everything you're saying makes sense. And I was sitting here thinking that the Houston Astros, at some point, they've got to, like, the runners in scoring position at some point are going to score. Like, water's going to find its level.
Right.
But the question now becomes, when is that going to happen? And is it going to happen in mid-May, late May? Because right now, Sully, I mean, look, the bottom line is the Rangers are 12-11 in first place. They're not exactly world beaters right now. The Marlins are one game worse than us, but they're 10 games out of first place. The Astros are only 4.5 or 5 games out of first place. So if there's any hope, it's that the AL West, for the most part, is playing mediocre baseball. I mean, we actually have the series.
The A's are still in it.
Well, we have the series over the Rangers at this point, 4-3 over the Rangers. And they're in first place, and they're the defending champs, and they're our rivals. And you know what? The Silver Boot Series means something. I know people make fun of it, but it means something this year. Our games against Seattle means something this year. I still think it's a 3-team race. I think it's the Rangers, the Mariners, and us. And right now, you got to put us third.
And the A's, which means check out Locked On A's, because the A's are ahead of the Astros right now. By the way, Argentina said as the ultimate here, the AOS is the new AL Central. Ouch. Hey, a quick shout out to Jeff Cohn, who's out there, listens every day. He's an everyday Sully. Loves his Mets. I got to give lots of props to the Mets, who went into Los Angeles. Granted, they got their butts handed to them today. But if you're going to lose 10-0. Because if you lose 10-0, you don't walk around going, oh, if only what? If only what? Technically, they should have stayed in the hotel. Because if they stayed in the hotel and didn't show up to the ballpark, it would have been a forfeit, and that would have been 9-0. That would have improved their run differential. They didn't even beat staying in the hotel. Wow. Okay? But before that, I mean, there was a weird sloppy game on Saturday. They went into LA and won the darn series. And you take a look at the team that the Mets are putting up there. I don't know. And Jeff, you better tell me. Yeah, by the way, Jeff Cohn is almost quoting Meatloaf here. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But yeah, I mean, you would have asked a genie for 2 out of 3 going into Los Angeles. But you look at the fact that they're getting good pitching out of the late Luis Severino, the late Jose Quintana. I mean, Sean Manaea has pitched okay, but like Jose Buto, Edwin Diaz is back and blowing his horn, and he's been doing great. Jorge Lopez out of the bullpen, Adam Ottavino out of the bullpen, Drew Smith out of the bullpen. I mean, Reed Garrett out of the bullpen, Brooks Red. They're in bullpen. You can't score off of them. And I'll tell you, they're the anti-Astros in this. If you put up their averages, the Mets average next to the Astros average, the Astros are cleaning their clocks. However, you look at the runs produced, they are getting hits when they need them. You know, Lindor went into the batting 181 with an on base of 274, and yet he's in every highlight. You know, you take a look at guys like, I know we're not supposed to look at RBI, but the fact that Brandon Nimmo is batting 205 and is driven in 15, which means when he gets a hit, they mean something big.
And that is the difference. Mm-hmm. And that is the night and day difference between where the Astros and the Mets are. And because I remember looking at that record today, I was like, oh, wait, hold on, 12-9. I'm like, because I was like, why aren't they? Oh, wait, where are the Mets? Oh, they're up there. They're not down there. And, that's why, Sully, you can go out and do what the Dodgers did and you can sign all these players. Look at the Dodgers. They're 12-11. They're supposed to be this super giant of the West and the best of the best. I'm just saying, like,
I know. I think that ship will right itself. Otherwise, everyone here in LA is going to have pitchforks and run Dave Roberts out of town. Not that he deserves to be, but there you go. When we come back, we'll do our final segment here, and I want to talk about some aces. An ace returned for the Astros, and a couple other aces pitched over this weekend. And maybe the Astros have a little bit of hope. It's playoff time in the NBA and for the Stanley Cup. And baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers will get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from home runs to slam dunks to slap shots, all in an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. This is a reminder that Locked On has begun the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Now it's available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV's channel app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. I had a weird moment. Those ads are pre-recorded. At a moment, I thought, "Wait, am I back on?" Nope.
No. And I did that. And as I was watching myself, I thought I clicked my 2-ad live read, and then it put me back on the screen. I didn't realize I was back on the screen because I'm wearing the same thing.
I know.
I was like, I'm live.
I know. I pulled a little Harpo Marx to see if whether I was here or not. Hey, the bunch of aces pitched. It was the first game of the year for Verlander, and Verlander looked terrific. I mean, especially when he was coming off an injury like that, I'm like, give me 3 or 4 innings to make sure your arm doesn't fall off. He gave him a quality start, which they needed.
No, yeah, they needed. Sully, I had definitely a hallmark moment in my podcasting career. I was able to be at his first rehab start at AAA Sugarland and got to ask him a couple questions. I almost stopped and asked Kate Upton questions. She was sitting next to him outside of the clubhouse on the couch, and I was like, should we just interview Kate, because surely she has a good temperature of how things are going. Right. But that was cool listening to this proverbial first ballot Hall of Famer just talk baseball. And he talked about the baseball, he talked about the injuries, he talked about the manufacturing of the baseball and all this stuff. And at the time he had gotten shelled in one inning, and they're like, what are you looking for? And he just said, look, I'm just looking for each time being able to recover. And that was why he was slowed down, because in spring training he couldn't recover as quickly. Right.
Well, there were first of all, I'm on the verge of saying, let's just bring the spider tack back. You got to. Why not? Who was really complaining? Some other aces pitch. Zach Wheeler, boy, oh boy. Remember, he was traded by the Giants for Carlos Beltran way back when. I think it was 2011. He's still hanging around. He nearly threw a no-hitter against the White Sox. Spencer Turnbull had a great game. Tyler Glasnow pitched 8 shutout innings. Well, it's 8 shutout innings. It's 10-0. Just let him pitch the 9th. Come on, give him a CG. Freddie Peralta is one of those pitchers that never comes up when people talk about the best pitchers, and maybe he's not, but he is reliable. He is just a reliable pitcher, game in and game out. And the Brewers are still in first place. By the way, every time I think someone's going to overtake the Rangers, like the Angels were on the verge of doing that, and all the Mariners had to do is sweep the Rockies today, but the Rangers are like 1 game above 500, I think, and counting down their magic number right now. Yamamoto was only okay for Los Angeles. Chris Sale looked pretty good, but holy cats, how many teams right now are going, whoa, we didn't sign Blake Snell. Whoa! Now, yes, I understand he didn't have a spring training, okay? And this could all be forgotten if he starts pitching well. He's still basically, he's had 3 starts, and he didn't have spring training. I'm sure he was pitching lots of simulated games. But boy, oh boy, if there's ever been an advertisement for take that first offer you get and just make sure you show up for spring training. I mean, San Francisco right now is, they're 10-13, which is not great. The best thing going for them is the Dodgers have slowed down a little bit. And they can, obviously Snell can turn things around, but he's pitched 3 games and has been lit up. He hasn't gotten past today he pitched, I think it was 4 1/3, 4 2/3, something like that. Yeah. That's been his longest outing with the Giants so far.
Well, Snellzilla, as he calls himself on X or Twitter, he has 2 good seasons where he has Cy Youngs. In the other seasons, he's pedestrian and average at best. And he's taken those 2 Cy Youngs and he's trying to turn them into a big contract. Blake Snell is Blake Snell. He's just not very good most of the time. I'm sorry. Not that I could do any better, but he's not worth the money he wants. And he should have taken that big contract from the Yankees, but they would be pissed right now if they signed him because he's not going to change just because he takes that first offer. And I'm really glad the Houston Astros did not sign him. I know a lot of people wanted him. Yeah, look at his career ERA. Outside of his 2 Cy Young winners, he's not great.
I'm going to say one thing, and then we're going to go to the trivia question. Bob Clark. He's Bob Clark. Who's Bob Clark? Bob Clark was a mediocre. Well, he was just a journeyman film director. Directed Porky's, directed a couple other movies, but nothing like he just was some hand the script to Bob Clark to get it made. A couple of films he did were absolutely panned. And in the middle of this, and I don't mean any disrespect to the late Bob Clark because I'm sure he was a lovely man and everything like that. He just made a bunch of stuff, whatever. And in the middle of May, he had a Christmas Story. This fabulous, beloved holiday treasure. Kind of Blake Snell. He's had a career where he's had okay. And in the middle of it, these shoots up with some 2 amazing seasons. And I wonder if the Giants got called back. Maybe playing out the teams around something. But you know what? I'm not giving them 3 stars. Wow. Let me tell you one thing, but then you got the last word here.
Whoa, Sully dropped out there, and I have no power to put myself into full screen. We do not know what happened. Maybe the Russians got to Sully. I'm not sure. But he was going to ask the trivia question. I was going to wrap up. But I do want to thank Sully for bringing me back on to Locked on MLB. For those of y'all that aren't Astros fans, seriously, come check us out. I'm always positive, always Stros. Love to talk Astros, and we'd love to have you over. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, do so. If you haven't subscribed to your team's channel, why not? Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Sully's an absolute baseball encyclopedia. But the bottom line is this: the Houston Astros, another Astros scandal. Sorry, LA. We're not that savvy. Our team banged a trash can. They didn't exactly, do technology. We definitely didn't use a massage gun like the Rockies or the Apple iPad or iWatch like the Red Sox or the Yankees. The Dodgers use Apple Watches. I believe the Rangers did something too. There's all kinds of stuff that went on. But the bottom line is this. We are so happy to be a part of this network, and I'm not sure if I should leave this or not or keep going. But I think the Houston Astros at some point get things right. I think water finds its level. I think even the Dodgers, they're still one of my favorites to come out of the National League, but I think the Braves ultimately win that contest. And if the Astros are going to go back to another ALCS, they're going to have to get a lot of things right before they even get there. The video room like the Royals. Yeah, very good. But there are some teams to be looking out for that may sneak up, and there's Sully again trying to get his internet in.
I'm sorry. We had a big fat internet crash here. My bad. My bad there. Sorry about that, my friend.
I was holding it down for you.
Yeah, that's why you're the best there. Well, look, let's wrap this up here. I hope my point was taken. By the way, let's do the trivia question. I'll make it quick. Trivia question is, of all the players who have hit 500 home runs, who is the only person to hit a walk-off homer on their 500th homer? Don't you answer that. You put the answer down here at Locked On MLB on Twitter or whatever it's called now, or on Instagram, or here on YouTube. Hey, Brett, tell people where they can listen to your show, or hopefully we don't have another internet crash.
Yeah, they can find me. They can find us on Yahoo.
Yahoo, yeah. On AOL.
On AOL, yes. AOL dial-up. You can find me at YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok. I mean, you can find us pretty much anywhere. And look, you can find me at Back to the Bullpen too. So I've got another project that I got going there. So look for Back to the Bullpen on YouTube as well. But we're always positive, always Stros, and we're your team every day. And we welcome even non-Astros fans.
All right, but hey, this is Voodoo Magic says, Sully, pay your bills. All right, fine. There you go. Well, hey, I'm using an Apple Lisa, so what else are you going to do for me? Let's just end this nightmare. Hey, Brett Chancey, thanks for jumping on board here. It's not your fault. Sorry for the internet crash, everybody. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. I got to pay my bills, and you can call me Sully.
That's right.
Live internet.
Live internet. You got to love that.